Do it.
I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:36 PM on Thursday, August 10th, 2023. Sansi, can you do a roll call?
Yes, Robin Barker? Robin Barker? Cheryl Bigelow?
Here.
Judy Bory?
Here.
Cheryl Hall?
Here.
Pam Kraus is out. Vivian Reisky is out, and Vera Walters is out, and we have a quorum.
All right, do we have a motion to accept the agenda?
I make a motion that we accept the agenda.
Is there a second?
I second.
Can you do a roll call?
Robin Barker?
Yes.
Cheryl Bigelow?
Yes.
Judy Bory?
Yes.
Cheryl Hall?
Yes.
Pam Kraus is out, Vivian Reisky is out, and Vera Walters is out. Motion passes.
All right, do I have a motion to accept the minutes from both May 11, 2023 and June 8, 2023? Do I have a motion?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, roll call?
Robin Barker?
Yes.
Cheryl Bigelow?
Yes.
Judy Bory?
Yes.
Cheryl Hall?
Yes.
Pam Kraus is out, Vivian Reisky is out, Vera Walters is out. Motion passes.
Okay. Do we have any correspondence or communication to go through?
Yes, we do. Thank you, Cheryl. We have once again received a donation in the amount of $20,000 from the Glenn Perkins Educational Foundation. As I've stated before, he was a winter visitor to Apache Junction, and he came to our library often and enjoyed our facility. This is the fourth year we have received the donation from his foundation, and as in previous years, a thank you letter that is on the screen has been mailed to the foundation from Mayor Chip Wilson.
Okay. Anything else?
That is it. Thank you.
Okay. How about the librarian's report?
Okay. Okay, good evening. Thank you for being here tonight. For our librarian's report for tonight, we're going to first start off with our June and July statistics. This is for June, where we were up in terms of circulation and for patron visits over the month of May. And July, we were slightly down from when we were in June, which is typical during the summer reading program, which is at its height during the June season. A program that we had, I believe it was in either late May or early June, was Paint and Punch. This was for adults. Paint and Punch brought in 22 painters, and our instructor for that program was our own Dennis Harpool, who is a computer lab assistant at the library. He is a certified Bob Ross and Jerry Yarnell landscape instructor. So he led the class that day, and everybody had a great time making a painting of an owl, which is our library's mascot. Peter Pan and Tinkerbell also came to the library in June, and this was one of the highlighted events for the summer reading program. That program had Peter Pan and Tinkerbell from one of the local princess groups that we've worked with in the past. There was a photo opportunity booth, lots of activities, and of course, fairy dust for all of the participants. And we had 140 participants at that program.
Wow.
Another popular program is Radical Reptiles, which is a company out of Santan Valley called Radical Reptile Fun. This year we had them come for 2 separate performances due to their popularity, and total in that program for both sessions was 250 attendees. And on the table and in the kids' arms you will see their very popular anaconda. And then altogether, we have a little graph here of our summer reading program statistics. And overall, we were up 22% from last year in terms of registrants and finishers. I'm sorry. And all of our youth finishers were eligible to choose a book from the Scholastic Book Fair, which was held the second week of July. We gave away lots of free books during that event. And then lucky readers from the other programs, adults and teens, and the youth program got to win some final grand prizes, which included an annual Phoenix Zoo Pass, some gift cards, MGC memberships, and a Kindle Fire, which were graciously donated by our friends of the library. You may have noticed that we now have a name, and it's official. The Apache Junction Public Library lettering was put up not too long ago on our west entrance off of Idaho Road, and we're very proud now that we can say that we have a proper name. It looks great. And this lettering matches the other lettering throughout the city complex. We had some other facility upgrades in June. This is the youth area where the castle is, obviously, and this is a before and after picture. We had lighting replaced in that area, and you can see it is a lot brighter, and now we can actually see the titles and find books more easily in the youth area. And this is from another perspective, looking in. Another upgrade that is currently happening is the North Wing Shelving Project that started this past Monday. So all of the books had to be taken off of the shelves, and as you can see, the movers have carefully placed them on these carts. The orange papers are showing where one shelf starts and another one ends, so they had a great system to keep everything organized. And this is a picture of our room with half the shelves already removed. If you come in today, the room is totally empty. Everything has been taken out. So for our schedule for the rest of this project, next week, the painters will be in to do painting not only in this room, but a few other rooms in the library. After that, the carpets will be cleaned, and we will do some other minor repairs in that room. And then the third week of August, we will have the books put onto the new shelves, which we're hoping to have delivered either late next week or early the third week of August. At the last meeting, we talked about the Charlie Cart, how this is a grant that we have received through the Salt River Pima community. And Vera asked, where did the name Charlie Cart come from? So I did a little research for you, being the librarian that I am. And a woman named Carolyn Fetterman, who is the founder of the Charlie Cart Project, came up with this name. She attended a conference and learned about I'm going to say this wrong because I don't know French, but it's called cuisine roulante, which is the pictured mobile kitchen. And these were rolling kitchens used by the French soldiers in World War I. The chuck wagon of the American pioneers predates this rolling cart, and that led her to the name Charlie Cart. Fetterman likes to think of the Charlie Cart as the great-great-grandchild of the chuck wagon, pioneering food education for the next generation. And we will soon be receiving our Charlie Cart, so we will let you know when we have that and what programs we're going to have slated for that. And that is the end of my presentation.
Thank you. I noticed when you were going through the statistics for the book club, it looked like almost every group had grown significantly. It wasn't just one particular part of the reading public who was more involved in the reading program. It looked like you were hitting almost all of the different groups, which is good.
Yes. We've, one of the reasons for that is that the adult program, it used to be a separate program, not part of the electronic program that the kids sign up through an app or on a website. The adults had their own pen and paper program. This year, the adults were added to that electronic program, and it encouraged a lot of the parents of these kids to also sign up for summer reading and do the reading with their kids. So I think that accounted for some of the increase.
I'm gonna just ask, did anybody else on the board actually participate?
Not in that program. I've just been in
Okay.
a couple of the others, the makeup one they did, about a week, 2 weeks ago?
Sharon.
Yeah, and she did a nice job too.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to have all of these different, things going on in the library.
I did,
Oh, did
actually.
you?
I did participate in the reading program, and I finished.
Yay, congrats.
With a day to spare.
Congratulations. Thank you for doing that.
Okay, can we go on to old business? The last thing that we had, 23-353, we had discussed a few months ago a possible vote for a one-time courtesy deletion of all expired Apache Junction Public Library accounts that are 5 years or older with fees of $49.99 or less.
Yes, so this was discussed at the May 11th meeting from this year. Just to recap what was discussed, I presented you with some information about how accounts are charged and how long they're staying in our computer database. 2 reasons I was looking to what's the word I'm looking for? Delete these accounts from the system is to remove a barrier to access to the library and also just to clean up the database. Currently, patrons may not borrow items if fees on their accounts exceed $5. And lastly, it's very unlikely we're going to recover these fees. The total amount that I was proposing back then was $95,252, and that is all accounts $49.99 or less since from 5 years ago all the way back until our database ends, until we started using the database. If we're looking at just accounts over 10 years, it's $37,492, and if it's between 5 and 10 years, it's $57,760. Some questions that were brought up at the time were some uncertainty of how many people it would bring back into the library since these accounts are so old, and most of the people probably don't live in the area. An assumption that we're making, some may be deceased. The second thing was we're unable to notify these patrons that their accounts have been purged. So the question was, would it really bring them back? And lastly, just a morality issue. It kind of goes against what libraries normally do. We encourage people to bring back their items. We use fees and fines as a way to encourage that to happen. And by eliminating these fees, we might be sending the wrong message to our patrons. One thing I did want to add, I did a little research on what some libraries that are doing something like this in their policies. One of them is Spokane County Library District in Washington State. In their customer privileges and responsibilities policy, they have a line item in there that is called Purge of Uncollectible Accounts. And it says the library may purge or write off those fines and fees at the point at which all reasonable collection efforts have been exhausted. Such efforts may be based on the date or dollar value of the assessed fines or fees or a combination therein. So this is something that they do on a regular basis because they know that retrieving those monies is very unlikely. So I will leave it up to you to ask any questions or discuss among yourselves.
So would you be proposing to put something into the policies for the library that would follow what Spokane is doing?
Not necessarily. It's kind of a big move to go from where we are to a policy, but I have seen other libraries that will do like a one-time purge or a one-time deletion. And that's something, that could be done every decade, every 15 years, when it makes sense for their database and for their collections.
If that person comes in and tries to borrow a book, will their name be kind of flagged so that you're able to talk to them about, hopefully, this new cycle that they'll bring their items back?
Unfortunately, once we delete the account or to purge the fines, the whole account itself would need to be deleted because of the fact that it's most likely incorrect in terms of address, phone number, all of that information. So to just purge the fines and to add notes to the account would be very laborsome. It would just be a lot more efficient and practical to just delete the account in whole. Of course, then that doesn't give us a way to let them know that the account was purged. They would just be starting fresh with a new account.
How do we communicate the policy to, I can't remember because it's been a couple years since I created my own account, that, you need to turn your books back in, and there's, if you hold them for too long, we are gonna, especially if you lose them, we're gonna ask you to please pay to replace them. Is that in the guidelines that you hand out with the library card? I can't remember.
It is, it doesn't give specifics, but it does say that you are responsible for lost or damaged items. It doesn't go into how long you have to hold on to an item until it's lost. But the billing statement that is sent out, it could give more details. And I don't have that in front of me, so I can't tell you off the top of my head exactly what that says. But I believe that has more detail in terms of if the item is not returned, you could be sent to collections, and it might give like the number of days they have to return it. And that is language that can also be changed. It's something that we create on our end. Every library has their own language and verbiage for those.
So what would happen to these accounts is, let's say you delete all those accounts. Somebody decides that they're going to come back to the library who was part of that group of people. They come in, they try to use a card, and they find out they don't have an account anymore, which means they would have to apply for a new library card, correct?
Correct. And in most cases, for accounts this old, they probably don't even have the card anymore. Not that it matters, because we would look them up with a photo ID as well.
Okay. So does that answer your question, Judy?
Well, how do we stay on top of and not letting it get to this point, How do we?
Madam Chair,
What, Robin?
I like the idea of the policy to read similarly to that of the one in Washington that you read. And that would stop this happening again.
So I think her suggestion is if we adopted this policy, this would be a way of ensuring that we're communicating that this is the expectation of having a library card and having privileges at the library.
I can't hear
Okay, I'm
what
sorry. Is
whoever
this
that
better?
is saying.
Yeah, okay, I was just saying that you were suggesting that we have a policy language that would lay this out, how we were going to deal with delinquent accounts.
Yes.
Okay.
And then that answers your question.
So what would it take to do that policy change or to add this language language like this to the policy? What would you have to do?
Oh, I would have to create that language and then bring it back to you. If it's a policy, it would need to have your approval
Right.
as a board.
So for everybody on the board to accept the proposal to basically forgive these fines or basically remove it from the database, would the policy be a requirement for everybody to vote on this proposal?
I'd vote now, I don't need the policy to.
So yeah, so I think you kind of have two options at this point. If you're going in the direction of wanting to do the purge, the deletion of the accounts, your two options would be, you could vote tonight to do a one-time deletion, and you could specify how many years back we would go based on those numbers I gave you, which are a little off because they were from May. Or you could hold it until our next meeting where I would create a policy, and then you would vote on the policy to create something that is going to be something we would follow over a span of years. So if you said that every 5 years we're going to purge accounts, or every 10 years we're going to purge accounts under $50, or you, like I said, you could just leave it as a one-time thing without any expectation of further purges.
And right now, the proposal in front of us is a one-time deletion.
It is.
Okay. Are we ready to vote on a one-time deletion? Or do we want to table this for another meeting and have the new business come in with a proposal that would show the change to policy language so that this becomes a regular thing that the library schedules every 5 years, every 10 years, whatever?
I think I'd like to see that. I think we need that to keep this from reoccurring.
Again.
Yeah.
Okay. Robin, how about you?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you want to would you want to table this until we see a policy, policy language?
That would work. And if a policy was created, then the folks at the library would never have to go back to the board in order to purge. They do this at, whatever time or whatever length of time is specified in the policy.
So do we need to vote on that if that's our recommendation, that we want
Yeah.
to push this to the next library
Would they
meeting?
have to vote on the one-time, since that's what's in the agenda, would they have to vote on a one-time deletion to move forward with us developing a policy for the next meeting?
I think you,
Yes.
Okay.
okay, Robin, we'll go with what you said.
I mean, it seems like we have to address what is currently in the business.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right, so do I have a motion to vote on the proposal around the one-time courtesy deletion of fines that are 5 years or older with the library?
I move that we purge.
Well, we're not
That's a
necessarily,
really nice
I'm just
no.
saying, I'm just saying, do you have a motion to vote on this?
So the motion.
Well, the motion is not, the vote would be no. The motion is, do we want to vote on this as proposed? And then we might say no to the proposal. So I'm just asking for a motion to vote on this.
I make a motion that we vote on this proposal.
Okay, do I have a second?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Santi?
actually, I think what you want to do is, if you've decided as a group that you want to do a policy rather than, you've already talked about that, so we would table that for the next time.
Okay.
But this, you would vote on as to, yes, we will agree to this, or no, we won't, so.
Right, that's what I'm,
Individually.
that's what I'm saying,
Individually.
is that this, we're voting on this proposal, and I think most of us are in favor, or saying, no, we want something else, which would be business for the next meeting. Is
You
that,
have to vote no on this motion.
that's what I'm thinking, yes.
Okay,
Okay, so Santi, can you do a roll call?
okay, I'm sorry, who made the motion?
But wait, didn't we just say yes?
Judy? No, you made the motion.
Okay.
Judy made the motion, I think you seconded,
Judy made the
Judy
motion
made the
and
motion
and Cheryl made the second.
Bigelow.
Yeah.
Okay, second it. Okay, so a motion to approve. Robin Barker, yes or no?
I did not hear the.
So we're asking you whether you would vote yes or no on the proposal as it is in the agenda, not, this is just to say, would you agree with it the way it is currently stated?
Okay, I got about half of that. Would I agree with the way the agenda is currently
Yeah, the motion that's,
written?
yeah, exactly. What exactly is what is stated in the agenda? Would you agree or disagree? You could say yes or no.
Uh, I would disagree.
Okay, say no?
Cheryl Bigelow,
No.
Judy Bory,
No.
Cheryl Hall.
No.
Okay, Pam Kraus is absent, Vivian Reisky is absent, Vera Walters is absent, and this motion will not pass.
Okay.
Am I allowed to talk a little bit about, in terms of the policy that I create, what their thoughts are about years, how many years back we would go? Would that still be considered under this agenda item? Or no?
I mean, if we're going to talk about the policy at another meeting, I think you could talk about it at that point.
Okay, so I would just have to kind of come up with a number and then go from there?
Yeah, and then
Okay.
they have the option to choose whatever
Okay,
you suggest, or
okay.
Okay. So there's no new business. Are there any future agenda items? It sounds like the answer is yes. Okay. Is there any other future items that people would like to see on the next agenda? Robin, is there anything you would like to see on the next agenda?
Well, I'm not hearing all of this very well, but just a policy change for the purging of books, that's all.
Okay. All right. So if there are no other items to add to the agenda, then I would like to adjourn this meeting at 7:03 PM.